Good afternoon, everybody. There's been a lot of news in the past couple of days, and I have been kind of feeling under the weather. So I haven't been posting much lately, but there's been so much going on. Um, the last, couple of days, there's been another school shooting, and it's this out of Omaha this time around. Been a school shooting, but luckily this time nobody was injured. I think they said there was a 15-year-old this time shooting up his school. Uh, California had an earthquake this morning, uh, down in Malibu, like 4 miles outside of Malibu. And it was a 5.1 earthquake. I think that's the strongest earthquake we've had over here in America. But remember, last post I made, I mentioned that doomsday fish that washed up down there in Southern California, and they always say that usually when one of those fish turn up, because they swim so deep down in the ocean, they said when one of those fish float up and dies and floats up to the surface of shallow waters, they said usually it's around the time of a natural disaster, and that's been all over the world. They said only like 20 of these oarfish, they call them oarfish, nicknamed doomsday fish, and that's the reason why they call them doomsday fish, because they say usually when they wash up to shallow waters, it's because it's some type of shifting in the seismic shifting or something. And usually it's around the time of a major natural disaster. So this doomsday fish that washed up in California, washed up like 2 weeks ago. And then Southern California gets a 5.1, well, 4.7 is said on the Richter scale, 4.7 earthquake, almost a 5.0 earthquake. So hopefully no more wash up no time soon, California. But that's just something to think about. Um, it just so happens that these fish wash up around the time before a natural disaster. And now I was reading something about they're saying that a mega tsunami hit Greenland last year. I didn't hear a whole bunch of news about that, but I just saw a recent news story saying a mega tsunami shook the said the it caused a wind so powerful that it affected the whole world, the whole planet. This mega tsunami they call it, said it is in Greenland, and I didn't hear a lot of news stories about that. But they keep threatening that California is going to get a doozy, like a 9.0 earthquake, and they said they've been saying it for years and years, but the seismic activity is just back to back to back now. The hurricanes and the seismic activities and the super typhoons and all this stuff is now happening back to back. I mean, major storms, big storms. Luckily, Hurricane Francine, it started off as a tropical storm in the Gulf of Mexico. It flooded some parts of Texas, southern Texas, but now it's in Louisiana, and it's only a Category 2. It's a Category 2. I think it touched down Wednesday evening, and it's a Category 2 hurricane now. But yeah. Speaking of flooding southern Texas, I don't know if we already talked about Elon Musk um, is sending four civilians. They left Tuesday. Yeah, they left. They're already gone up to outer space. Four civilians now. I think one of them is a billionaire, and I believe they pay what, like 250,000, maybe it might be up to $1 million to go up to outer space. So Tuesday they launched an aircraft, a spacecraft called Polaris Dawn by SpaceX. It's a SpaceX aircraft, and sends four non-astronaut civilians up there to take a spacewalk for 5 days. I told y'all, I don't see nowhere in the Bible that the Lord gave man permission to be up in outer space or be in the cosmos anywhere. But they keep going up there. Even after two astronauts are stranded in outer space right now until February of 2025 because Boeing sent them up there for whatever reason. and those people ended up. Them people are stranded up there. They don't know if they're gonna make it back. They said that as soon as that they can go get them, and they're gonna. Okay, Boeing's equipment or whatever messed up some kind of way. So those two, a man and a woman, is up there in outer space stranded. And since Boeing said they can't go get them, they're unable to go get them. So now they're going to have SpaceX, Elon Musk, send a spacecraft up there to get those people. And we know Elon Musk spacecrafts always blow up. I think one blew up a couple of weeks ago, and then they just issued a news report that said a Russian scientist said that Elon Musk has SpaceX has sent out launched two aircraft spacecrafts in November of 2023. So they exploded. Both of them exploded within 4 minutes of launch. And as soon as those things lifted off, they exploded and blew a hole in the Earth's atmosphere. It's a Russian scientist that said this. So they gonna get on an aircraft knowing that Elon Musk, every time he launches a spacecraft, it blows up. Um, two people are stranded. Two astronauts are stranded in outer space right now. And these four, I'm not gonna call it. These four people gonna get up there and go up there into outer space. Talking about they just gonna walk around for 5 days to test technologies for future space travel because they just want to go up there in outer space. This is some Tower of Babel type stuff because nowhere did God give man permission to be up in the heavenly realms. Outer space is the heavenly realms. So we'll see how that goes. But that's when I talk about people living reckless. Like they be going out on these boats in the ocean and stuff, just out there, just thrill seeking, reckless living and stuff like that. And they doing it from outer space all the way to the bottom of the ocean. They doing this stuff. So we'll see how it goes. So hopefully, God give them grace and mercy and they make it back. But they have no business being up there, y'all. They have no business being up there. Stay away from outer space. But okay, there is no life on any other planet but Earth that we know of. So what business do you have? Why would you go up there knowing that you don't, not knowing if you have the means to survive? I don't get it. But it's I know what it is. It's wanting to be like God. You're trying to be God, and you're trying to make it a God, make it up there to where God is, but it's not gonna happen. So yeah. But what else? What else do we have going? Oh yeah, there's an update on the situation in Ohio. I mean, I'm sorry, in Omaha, with the little boy that he was shot up his school in Omaha. He is 14, not 15. He's 14, and him and another little boy got into a fight at school, and that's what started all of the shooting. He's been tried as an adult, like the little boy that the little 14-year-old that shot up his school in Georgia. Both of them 14, both of them being tried as adults. So the charges that they have on this boy in Omaha is, I think, first-degree assault. I don't know why they didn't hit him with attempted murder because they said he shot one of his classmates in the chest because they were fighting at first, and then he pulls out a gun, he shoots him in the chest. So I don't know why that's not attempted murder. But I think they gave him a bond, $275,000. I guess because nobody died, but still, that boy is dangerous. But yeah, a school fight that turned into yeah, that's what happened. So being tried as an adult. So hmm, these kids just they're getting younger and younger and younger. 12 years old, 10 years old, 14 years old, and they're killing people. It's crazy. It's crazy. 13-year-olds have now been arrested for making terroristic threats against LaBelle Middle and High School. 13-year-olds. What are they? What's the seventh grade? 13. They've been arrested because they were making threats for LaBelle Middle and High School. And this is the Hendry County Sheriff's Office. Have them in custody in Southwest Florida. Um, in Fort Myers, I believe. So they got those two in custody. They really need to start paying attention, taking these threats seriously. So these two are in custody. So they might release them to their parents, to the custody of their parents, but they need to take this stuff seriously and get these kids some mental health treatment because this is like the third one in less than a month. Oh man. Three Red Cross workers have been killed over in Ukraine. Um, Russia blew up a Red Cross truck delivering humanitarian aid. Now Russia's doing like Israel because that's what Israel's been doing. Israel just recently killed some aid workers over in Gaza that was supposed to have been enough safe zone. Israel issued a strike, killed 18 people. Some of them were United Nations staff workers, humanitarian aid workers. So now Russia just yesterday they killed three Red Cross workers when they struck Ukraine. So nowhere is safe now. Where refugees think that they're safe in Israel, in Gaza, Israel is sending strikes, to those camps now, encampments now, and now Russia is launching missiles and rockets inside of Ukraine and killing everybody. Um, and what it is, I think the reason why they're doing that is because they may have some type of information that those humanitarian aid trucks are being used as disguises, maybe, or they may have got some type of intelligence saying that no, there were soldiers on those trucks instead of humanitarian aid workers. I don't know why, they keep hitting those trucks. And what's happening is that the humanitarian organizations are stopping delivering much needed food, water, and supplies into those refugee camps now. So, um, yeah, there are three wildfires happening right now in California. And I think they said, no, there's four fires. One is in Nevada, and then there's the bridge fire, then there's the line fire, and then there's the airport fires that are happening out west. They have arrested a man, a 34-year-old man from Norco, California, who intentionally set that line fire, which is the largest one. They said he has burned tens of thousands of acres up, and they said that it was intentional. They caught him on video. They had his license plate and everything. They saw him intentionally set that fire out there, and now they're saying that they may have been other fires intentionally set. But they just announced that yesterday, I believe, or this morning, that they arrested him for setting that line fire, and they suspect that it may be some others out there that have been intentionally set by arsonists. This man is 34. They said he was a FedEx contractor, lived in a quiet neighborhood, unsuspecting, and now he's in there on no bond, no bail, no bond. So yeah, that's what's happening. Also, so yeah, we talked about yeah, it's a lot going on, y'all. It's just is back to back. You take a day off, man, you just get so far behind. So you get sick or something, you take just a day off. Just stuff happening back to back to back. Because this war is escalating now to where pretty much I think Netanyahu and Putin are both getting tired. Their patience is running thin. Netanyahu wants the Palestinians out of Gaza, out of the West Bank. He wants them out of there, and he said he's not going to stop until he gets them out of there. Uh, Putin wants Ukraine, and if he has to level Ukraine, that's what he's going to do. But that's not good news for any of the hostages, because, and truth be told, over in Hamas, I don't know if those hostages are going to get out alive. I really don't. I don't think they will. Hamas hates Israel, and they are they though that war is intense. It's serious. That's a holy war out there, and I just feel bad for the hostages. But it says it's still over 100 and some hostages being held by Hamas, and it don't look good for them, y'all. It really does not look good for them. So we have to stay prayed up in these end times. Because this is end times, because stuff is happening back to back to back. I mean, stuff happens in the news. Yeah, that's just the way the world is. We live in a wicked world. But this stuff is happening back to back with more intensity, like the Bible said. Like Bible prophecy is being fulfilled. Jesus said the birth pains are going to get worse and worse and worse and worse, and that's what's happening. So I just say, stay prayed up. Pray for yourselves. Pray for your loved ones who have not been saved, that they do get saved, because time is of the essence. People think that they got, oh, I got time. I'm just, probably when I get 50, I get saved. Or get... You don't have time. Time is of the essence. I'm gonna just party a little bit longer, and then, I'll holler at God. No, okay. Wait till it's too late. All we can do is we can watch, what's going on with the world, and warn and warn and warn, because we don't want, we're like God. Any true believer is like the Lord. The Lord don't want nobody to perish. He wants no one to perish. But if you keep denying him, you keep ignoring his warnings and his calls, and you know, uh, you just want to go and live your life your own way, then that's what's gonna happen. So, okay, y'all. But there's just so much happening in these out in this world. It is a lot happening. Now they're talking about the threat for a mega tsunami. Uh, California possibly being hit with a 9.0 earthquake soon, and just because stuff is just happening back to back. All these massive, major natural disasters are happening everywhere. All these wars. I mean, Israel is literally fighting Syria, Yemen, Hamas, Hezbollah. Um, Egypt has now entered into the fight. Did I say Jordan? Israel is getting attacked on all sides, and Iran is about to enter directly into the conflict over in the Middle East as well. So it's a lot going on, and after a while, America and NATO will enter into the war on the side of Israel soon. So we just have to stay prayed up, y'all, and watch. Just be aware and mindful of everything that's happening in the world, because Bible prophecy is being fulfilled every single day. Okay? So yeah, y'all. I told y'all what them dead fish represent. Them dead fish washing up all over the world. Then that big goldfish, that 67-pound goldfish that just died of old age. And I looked it up, and just looked it up in Ezekiel about the dead, what dead fish represent. It's dissolution, decay, and judgment. So yeah, y'all. He sends us all kind of signs and clues, and to let us know that the end is near, that we are in the end times, whether y'all want to believe it or not. We are. So all right, let me stop rambling. Anything else happens? We talked about the 15-year-old out in Omaha. I think I did. Luckily, this school shooting was not. It did not end in fatalities. No one was killed. I think they caught the 15-year-old student who was responsible for that. But this is the second school shooting in 2 weeks, in less than a month. The second one, and this is only the beginning of September, the middle of September. So yeah, y'all, it's getting serious. It's getting serious. So it is serious. It ain't getting. It is serious. So y'all be blessed, and until next time, I'll I'll put some more. Post my videos up that I wanted to post the other day, but it's just so much happening so fast, y'all. All right, let me get off here. Peace.
Instead of sitting in the classroom, they're sitting behind bars. Tonight, 2 LaBelle teenagers are charged with posting threats to social media. Thanks so much for watching ABC 7. I'm Megan Miller.
And I'm Christy Soto. The Hendry County Sheriff's Office says they threatened to shoot up 2 schools. ABC 7's Samantha Servin is at LaBelle Middle School, getting you more on how tips led to their arrests.
There's a good chance these kids don't ever walk through the doors of LaBelle Middle School again. Even though deputies found and arrested those students, there was still a single point of entry here at school this morning with metal detectors to make sure everyone was safe. Hendry County deputies were front and center outside LaBelle Middle and High Schools Monday, an important site for peace of mind after a social media post circled this weekend about a shooting.
Our sheriff is just not going to put up with that. You make these kind of threats and we find out who you are, you're going to jail.
Captain Susan Harrell says tips came pouring in through Fortify Florida, a suspicious activity reporting app that sends all information to law enforcement and the school district. Curtis Clay represents both.
I was so happy to see how many people actually put in the report, shared the photographs they had received, and we, as the Henry County School District, want to thank the citizens of Henry County because really, as a sheriff's deputy and director of school safety and security, I know people think security is our issue, but really it's the people's issue, the families, the students. They're going to know about things a lot of times way before we do.
Speaking of students, Stevie Wilson has kids in both LaBelle Middle and high school. She wasn't sure about sending them in today, despite the fact they wanted to go.
So I would have felt a little bit better knowing the exact details, knowing how did we find this out, like what is the credibility of it.
The students deputies say made the post were in jail before first bell. Diego Salivar and Celiana Velasquez are both 13 years old. One of them told deputies it was a joke.
I don't see where that could fall in line at any kind of a joking matter. It's not, any way you kind of play it out, there's no way you could have it as a joking matter.
No, ma'am. In fact, this is pretty sad. I think they think this is some kind of funny drama thing that they can just do it to get out of school or miss school or cause drama. And this is not a joke. This is very, very serious. We've had several students that have panic attacks over this. We have to understand that this is real.
And real actions come with real consequences. These 2 are facing a felony.
Do you know, did either of those kids have access to weapons? Do you know?
I believe one of them did.
This is just one example of why the Fortify Florida app is so important. Because of the people who made those reports yesterday, the suspected students were not in class today. In LaBelle, Samantha Servin, ABC 7.
Well, the suspected shooter at Northwest High School was in court this afternoon.
Now, 14-year-old Ramon Jefferson will be charged as an adult. KATV News Watch 7's Jessica Perez is live at the Douglas County Courthouse with new details. Jessica?
The judge set Ramon Jefferson's bond at $275,000. If he can post that bond, he'll need to wear a GPS tracker at all times. He's accused of shooting 15-year-old Jamorion Fant in the chest inside Northwest High School yesterday. According to court documents, video shows Fant approached Jefferson near a classroom. They started fighting, and Jefferson appears to shoot Fant one time through his hoodie. Fant then falls to the ground. We showed you this video yesterday from inside the school showing people at Fant's aid. Jefferson then runs away. Police arrested him at 81st and Bauman. Jefferson is now charged with first-degree assault, possession of a weapon, and possession of a weapon on school grounds.
One of the criteria that's statutory about whether we send somebody to juvenile court or charge them as adult is the serious nature of this crime. And this is a very serious, it's about as serious as it gets to have a gun, to use that gun, and to seriously hurt another individual.
Fant is still in stable condition at Nebraska Medical Center. Omaha police say they don't know at this point if his injuries are life-threatening. In court today, Jefferson's public defender said he was excessively bullied, which could have led up to yesterday's shooting. Back to you.
All right, Jessica, thanks.
County tonight. No bail for a man charged in connection with the death of a mother from Lawrence. Yesterday at 5, we told you she was missing, and sadly hours later learned her body had been found in Haverhill. Boston 25 News reporter Bob Ward is live outside of Lawrence District Court tonight, and Bob, surveillance cameras and cell phone data played a major role in this case.
Mark, we heard some very disturbing details about this case in court today. The victim described as a very personable, friendly mother of 2, and now her next-door neighbor is charged in connection with her death. 35-year-old Christian Montero arraigned in Lawrence District Court in the case of Carol Flas-Burgo, a 37-year-old Lawrence mother of 2, found dead in a Haverhill Park Tuesday afternoon. She had been missing since Saturday morning. The 2 lived in the same apartment building. A prosecutor said a hallway surveillance camera recorded the victim's final moments as she entered the suspect's apartment.
When officers observed Ms. Burgos walking into the apartment, she appeared to be texting, making the sign of a cross when she entered.
Authorities say the victim was never seen leaving that apartment. However, the same hallway camera recorded the suspect.
They did, however, observe about 2 hours later the defendant, Christian Montero, to be leaving the apartment complex with a wagon, a beach cart that appeared to be filled with clothes.
At the time Montero pulled the wagon filled with clothes, investigators say the victim's cell phone moved. It was pinged in the Haverhill area. A Mass State Police canine found Carol Flas-Burgo buried beneath a pile of leaves in a Haverhill Park. Christian Montero is charged with giving false information to investigators. They said he lied about going to a Lawrence barbershop after he left the apartment. City surveillance cameras, authorities say, reveal he was never there.
I'm in shock. I'm in shock. I'm like, what was the reason? So we don't know yet.
It's touched everybody. You know, she's a mother. So everybody was hoping to include the police department. They wanted to bring this to a happy ending. But at the very minimum, we find ourselves being able to bring them justice.
Well, right now, the suspect is only charged with misleading investigators, but that could change. The district attorney said last night that the charge here could be upgraded to murder. Right now, the suspect is ordered held without bail. He's due back here in court next week for a dangerousness hearing. Reporting live from Lawrence tonight, I'm Bob Ward for your local station, Boston 25 News.
A teenager in Florida is accused of murdering his mom a year after he shot and killed his father here in Oklahoma.
Investigators say 17-year-old Colin Griffith murdered his mother at his grandma's house in Florida over the weekend.
KOCO's Jason Berger joins us live now. Jason, you were actually at the local crime scene back in 2023 where this teenager shot his dad and now his mother is dead too.
Yeah, guys, Griffith killed his father last year in Lincoln County. He then moved down to Florida to be with his mom. Now he's accused of stabbing her to death.
15-year-old male caller on the phone said that his dad had a knife and had him cornered and he had to shoot him.
In February of 2023, Lincoln County Sheriff's deputies and OSBI combed through this house off East 900 Road. A 15-year-old teen shot and killed his dad, Charles Griffith, with no other witnesses.
Just that they had got into some type of an argument.
Charges against the teen, Colin Griffith, were dropped a month later. He claimed self-defense, and investigators could not prove otherwise. But on Sunday, deputies in Polk County, Florida, got a call from Griffith himself.
He used similar language to when he made the 911 call, 18 or 20 months earlier, when he shot and killed his father. Colin said, "I've had a very, very long fight with Mom, and she fell on a knife and she's bleeding."
While Catherine Griffith was found at the scene, the investigation that followed showed otherwise.
The medical examiner said it is not reasonable or plausible that she died the way that he said she did. Just didn't happen.
In late 2023, the Polk County Sheriff says Griffith was flagged for mental health concerns under the state's Baker Act, which allows for temporary detention and examination for mental health services. He had also previously been arrested for domestic violence against his mom after she took away his video games.
At about 4:30, witnesses and neighbors see Colin and Mom arguing outside, and Colin grabs his mother by the hair and drags her into the house.
Now, Griffith is currently in custody down in Florida. The sheriff also said it's possible the investigation here in Oklahoma could be reopened. In Oklahoma City, Jason Berger, KOCO 5 News.
We begin with a follow-up on a story we first brought to you last week after witnesses say they saw a woman throw her one-year-old child out of a moving car. Today, that mother appeared before a judge.
Yeah, we're also learning what police say happened in the car before the young girl was picked up by a Good Samaritan. NBC6's Lena Salzbank has the new details from court.
It's really just heartbreaking the more details we learn about this case. That woman was arrested on Friday in Miramar and then extradited back here to Miami-Dade. She faces charges of child abuse and child neglect. Tashay Chelsea Mills stood before a judge Wednesday just 5 days after law enforcement issued a be on the lookout for the 29-year-old and her 1-year-old child.
Charge you with 2 counts of one count of child abuse, no great bodily harm, and 1 count of child neglect.
The Florida Missing Child Alert was issued after witnesses say they saw Mills toss a 1-year-old out of a moving car on Northwest 37th Avenue and Northwest 54th Street in Hialeah last Thursday.
The child had gravel on her face and I think blood on her head.
According to the arrest warrant, a witness who was in the passenger seat at the time of the incident told detectives this all happened after the baby spilled shampoo in the back seat of the car.
So she pushed the victim out of the car because she spilled shampoo in the car. That's after hitting her.
The report says when the baby cried, Mills got angry, opened the door, and pushed her out.
Hey, are you okay? It's okay. I'm going to sit down. Come here. Oh, my God.
As witnesses rushed to help the child, moments later, 2 cars pulled up and surveillance video shows Mills returning to the scene, violently taking the child back from the woman who was trying to help.
Hey, but oh, my God. I need you guys to come.
Detectives say they tried to get Mills to return to the scene and get the child medical attention, but she failed to do so. The judge did give Mills bond, and she will be allowed to get out of jail. However, she is ordered to stay away from her child. For now, reporting in Miami-Dade, Lena Salzbank, NBC6 News.
Francine weakened to a tropical storm overnight, just hours after it made landfall in Louisiana yesterday. Flash flood warnings are still in effect, however, in parts of the state with hundreds of thousands of residents without power. And this morning, the storm is also battering parts of Mississippi.
We really wanted our public, our visitors, to really understand, our residents, that your city is prepared. Your city has been making investments, heavy investments for a long time, utilizing those federal dollars and really demonstrating that when the federal government invests big, I'm telling you, we can see the impacts on the ground. They're huge. And so we're just continuing to be, I would say, that model for disaster preparedness and really for recovery, not only for this country, but for the world. More to come. This is a work in progress, but New Orleans is always working.
We don't know how much damage is done. We don't know if we have to replace sheetrock. We don't know if we have to rip out our baseboards again, replace sheetrock again. We just finished up a renovation in our house. Actually, the renovation is ongoing. It's a brand new renovated street, a brand new renovated home. And we had about 6 to 8 inches of water in our home that came up so fast that my husband and I could not stay ahead of it.
In Springfield, they're eating the dogs, the people that came in. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets of the people that live there.
Now back to our other top story. Last night, President Trump doubled down on claims that Haitian immigrants are eating pets in Springfield, Ohio. Our verified team confirmed with the Springfield mayor that these claims are false. We will talk more on this in just a moment.
But first, here's the thing. The claims stem from a case in Canton where a woman was recently arrested and charged with eating a cat. Our Annabelle Childers is live in Canton where these claims started. So Annabelle, what is the story here?
Well, Matt and Christy, we want to start out by giving our viewers a warning because the details here in this story are incredibly disturbing. Now, about 3.5 weeks ago, a housing community here in Canton was shocked as neighbors tell us they watched a woman eat a cat. But now they're dealing with a new wave of emotions as they watch body-worn camera footage from that event circulate widely online. And connection to that story in Springfield, the influx of Haitian immigrants 170 miles away.
What did you do?
August 16th, Canton police responded to disturbing 911 calls.
She killed the cat and is eating it.
Multiple people reported 27-year-old Alexis Farrell was eating a cat on the 1100 block of 13th Street Southeast in Canton.
Stand up.
Officers on scene placed Farrell in handcuffs as a crowd of onlookers watched.
Put your hands behind your back. Someone got rubber gloves. She's covered in blood.
Police believe she killed the cat before eating it. One writing they saw blood on Alexis's feet, hands, and fur on her lips.
But the people around here knew her. They like, Alexis, get up. Like, what is you doing? Like, da-da-da-da. Like, they know for sure that wasn't her right mind.
Neighbors recall it as a deeply unsettling night for their neighborhood, speculating Farrell may have been on drugs or experiencing a mental health crisis. Now, Alexis Farrell is in jail today. She's being held on a $100,000 bond, and she's facing multiple charges, including disorderly conduct and cruelty to animals. Now, Canton police say they have nothing to share on this today with us. It's important to note that voter records do show Alexis Farrell is not a Haitian immigrant. She is a U.S. citizen.
All right. Well, thank you for the clarity on that, Annabelle Childers. Thank you.
700 kilometers above the southern Atlantic Ocean, flying at 25,000 kilometers an hour. The leader of the space mission Polaris Dawn prepares to do something no civilian has done before. He turns a handle, gives a strong push, and with a silent puff of air, Jared Isaacman exposes his crew to the uncompromising vacuum of space. This is the first commercial mission to attempt a spacewalk. Led by SpaceX, it is meant to step into a new era of human spaceflight, led by companies. And then, 2 million viewers watched through the astronaut's own helmet, with the Earth in full view.
SpaceX. Back at home, we all have a lot of work to do, but from here, Earth sure looks like a perfect world.
SpaceX's billionaire owner Elon Musk has always said he wants to travel to Mars. The U.S. space program NASA wants to get there too, and it needs SpaceX to do so. But the company needs spacesuits that can withstand the pressure, temperature, radiation, and other risks of space. And it needs data about how humans cope without weight. So that voyage starts with some tests right here, a wave of the arm back towards the Earth.
That's the fundamental shift, is it's no longer under governments to control access to space anymore. And there's private individuals that are able to put different companies and humans into space. And it's completely transforming the industry, and it's transforming Earth. You know, we're in this new space age.
This mission is expensive, but one billionaire is on board, and another, Elon Musk, is likely watching closely.
This is very much an experimentation. It's really trying to push the frontiers of commercial space travel and space tourism. So they do have some scientific aspects, particularly regarding the space travel. But fundamentally, what they're doing is having a bit of fun. And they are paying for it because it's phenomenally expensive.
Below them on Earth, SpaceX's Starship, the largest rocket to carry humans by far, is getting closer to its first use. In just a few years, the company has transformed from startup to spacefarer. Colin Baker, Al Jazeera.
Make sure to subscribe to our channel to get the latest news from Al Jazeera.
SpaceX Starship explosion creates temporary hole in Earth's atmosphere. A recent study found SpaceX's Starship explosion on November 18th caused a temporary hole in Earth's ionosphere. The rocket exploded twice during its ascent in Texas, sending shockwaves through the upper atmosphere, disrupting the ionosphere. The explosion neutralized nearby charged particles, creating a hole up to 1,200 miles wide, revealed geophysical research letters. This marked the first non-chemical ionospheric hole caused by a man-made explosion. Fortunately, the hole closed within 30 to 40 minutes. Researchers were surprised by the disturbance's size, prompting questions about the atmospheric processes involved. Findings offer valuable insights into how the ionosphere responds to both natural and man-made disruptions.
Yeah, take a look at this video. The Texas Department of Transportation is warning drivers to steer clear of State Highway 4 that's heading out to Boca Chica Beach and SpaceX, because look at this. TxDOT announced that the roadways were flooded due to recent weather conditions. Drivers want to monitor the road conditions over on State Highway 4 and have any questions to call 1-800-452-9292. Brian?
Well, we begin with the earthquake that struck at 7:28 this morning. It was a 4.7 and felt across Southern California. This is video of the Santa Monica Pier. The moment the quake struck, that shaking caught on camera by Explore.org. The quake centered just north of Malibu, according to the USGS. There have been 5 aftershocks since that initial quake. Important to mention that it's the camera shaking more so than the pier shaking. All right, let's get to KCAL News reporter Jeff Nguyen. He is in Calabasas with a look at the aftermath for us. Jeff.
Amy, just about everybody that we talked to in this area told us that they felt the earthquake this morning. In fact, it was felt as far south as Long Beach and Anaheim. Right now, we want to give you a look at what some people experienced, beginning with a video from a dry cleaning business. People at this Catalina paint store in Calabasas walked out of the business as the earth started to move. You can see some of the shelves swaying in that video. Workers here say that they heard some rumbling before the building started to shake in Calabasas. The quake hit at 7:28 this morning. It was centered more than 3 miles northwest of Malibu and nearly 5 miles southwest of Agora Hills, about 6.5 miles deep. The U.S. Geological Survey says that it was a magnitude 4.7, and here's a sampling of what people experienced.
It sounded like a semi-truck was pulling in, and we didn't think much of it. It just sounded like a loud bang. And then all of a sudden we start hearing like the building crack a little bit, and then everything just started shaking. So we ended up just walking back because the parking lot in the back is pretty empty. So basically, just instead of taking cover, we just went to the back where there's nothing around us.
You know, everybody has their own emotions. It was like a side to side. So once we started seeing stuff move, we're like probably safer to go outside. Like we were saying, luckily most of our stuff has a seismic package, so it doesn't move much. Otherwise, we probably would have had a little mess because it was kind of hectic, you know.
So we have talked to a number of businesses in this area, including a wine and liquor store, as well as the pharmacy right behind us, and they tell us that nothing on their shelves fell off the shelves. So far, there has been no reports of any major damage or injuries. For now, we are live in Calabasas. Jeff Nguyen, KCAL News.
All right, Jeff, thank you.
The war in the Middle East, Israel carrying out a deadly airstrike in a humanitarian area of Gaza. NBC's chief foreign correspondent Richard Engel is following that story for us. Hey, Richard, good morning.
Good morning. This airstrike took place in an area called Al-Mawasi, which is a designated safe area. This is where Gazans have been told to go by the Israeli government. And this strike took place among a very sandy location, very little infrastructure. People are living in tents. And if you look at the size of the craters, they are about 20 feet deep. And local civil defense authorities say that at least 20 of these tents were completely wiped out, that at least 40 people were killed. The Israeli government says that it did carry out this strike, but that it targeted a Hamas command and control structure and that several militants were there at the time. Hoda?
All right, Richard Engel for us on that story. Richard, thank you so much.
Hey, thanks for watching. Don't miss the Today Show every weekday at 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 Pacific on our streaming channel, Today All Day. To watch, head to today.com/allday or click the link right here.
More than 140 Ukrainian drones targeted multiple regions across Russia overnight, including the capital, Moscow, and surrounding areas. Officials reported that this massive assault, one of the largest on Russian soil in over 2 years of conflict, left at least one person dead and 8 others injured. The tragic loss occurred in the town of Ramenskoye, just outside Moscow, where drone strikes hit 2 multi-story residential buildings, sparking fires. Moscow Region Governor Andrei Vorobyev confirmed that 5 buildings had to be evacuated due to falling debris. In response to the attack, authorities temporarily closed 3 major airports near Moscow, Vnukovo, Domodedovo, and Zhukovsky, leading to the diversion of 48 flights. While the first 2 airports reopened by morning, Zhukovsky remained closed into the afternoon as law enforcement continued to clear the area of drone debris. This comes after a similar large-scale Ukrainian drone strike earlier this month. On September 1st, Russian forces claimed to have intercepted 158 drones in what was described as the most significant barrage since the war began. Russia's investigative committee has launched a criminal probe, labeling these drone strikes as acts of terror. Meanwhile, Russia continues its own relentless offensive against Ukraine, using missiles, bombs, and drones. The United Nations estimates over 10,000 civilians have been killed since the conflict erupted in 2022. Overnight, Ukraine faced another wave of Russian attacks, with 46 Shahed drones and 2 missiles launched at its territory. The Ukrainian Air Force successfully intercepted 36 of these drones. Ukraine has been ramping up its domestic drone production to better confront Russia's war machine. Ukrainian officials have been vocal about the delay and inadequacy of Western military aid, with President Volodymyr Zelensky urging defense companies to increase production. On the battlefield, the 1,000-kilometer front line remains fiercely contested. Ukrainian troops are battling against the larger, better-equipped Russian army, especially in the eastern Donetsk region, while also making bold incursions into Russian border areas like Kursk. In Moscow, drone debris landed on a private home overnight, but fortunately, no one was injured. Mayor Sergei Sobyanin said over a dozen drones were headed for the city before being shot down by air defenses. Russia's defense ministry reported that a total of 144 Ukrainian drones were intercepted and destroyed across 9 regions, including areas near the Ukrainian border and deeper into Russian territory. However, Ukrainian officials have declined to comment on the attack. As the conflict continues, Russian President Vladimir Putin is strengthening his military alliances. On Tuesday, Russia began large-scale naval and air drills involving over 90,000 troops and 400 warships, with China also taking part. Additionally, the U.S. and Britain confirmed that Russia is bolstering its arsenal with Iranian ballistic missiles. Moscow and its surrounding areas have been frequent targets throughout the war. Notably, in May 2023, Ukrainian drones were blamed for an attempted strike on the Kremlin, and in August, a drone attack on Moscow's business district shattered windows in high-rise buildings, unsettling residents and revealing gaps in the city's air defenses. Thanks for watching. Visit our website headlinecast.com and please subscribe our YouTube channel, hit the bell icon for exclusive update news. Also follow our Facebook page, Instagram, and Twitter.
3, 2, 1, ignition.
Roaring off the launch pad in the early morning hours, an all-commercial group of space explorers riding in a SpaceX Dragon capsule and determined to break records, flying higher in orbit than any humans in more than 50 years, and the first commercial crew to conduct a spacewalk while testing new spacesuits that might one day be used for SpaceX missions to the moon and Mars.
Maybe not in the not-too-distant future, humans are gonna finally reach another planet other than our own.
Mission Commander billionaire Jared Isaacman, an accomplished pilot, now paying for his second trip into space on an Elon Musk SpaceX rocket. Pilot Scott Petit, a veteran Air Force fighter pilot. Mission Specialist Sarah Gillis, a SpaceX engineer. And Medical Officer Anna Menon. The most dangerous portion of the mission, that spacewalk. To do it, the entire spaceship will be open to the vacuum of space with everyone suited up. They talked about it here on Today.
It'll be about a 2-hour operation overall. All of us will get suited in these brand new spacesuits before we vent the spacecraft and then go outside.
To prepare, they've been training for 2.5 years, from nauseating centrifuge spinning to survival training to skydiving at the Air Force Academy, where we caught up with them.
Why do this? Why do we need to go into space?
I mean, there are questions that we've been asking ourselves since like the dawn of civilization, right? That we don't know the answers to. And the universe is so big.
And something else that's big. Isaacman's first mission, Inspiration 4, raised a staggering $260 million for St. Jude Children's Hospital.
We've raised millions since with Polaris Dawn and will continue to do so throughout the duration of the Polaris program.
This is a 5-day mission splashing down, we think, in the Atlantic Ocean on day 6. If they run into trouble, they cannot go to the space station. That's not even an option. So they are pretty much on their own. And one other very risky element, they're going to be traveling through the Van Allen radiation belts. These are 2 highly charged radiation belts, and they're going to be watching very carefully how much radiation exposure they have and then what the health impact might be down the road. Craig?
All right, Tom Costello, fingers crossed. Keep us posted, buddy. Thank you.
Hey, thanks for watching. Don't miss the Today Show every weekday at 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 Pacific on our streaming channel, Today All Day. To watch, head to today.com/allday or click the link right here.
SpaceX Starship explosion creates temporary hole in Earth's atmosphere. A recent study found SpaceX's Starship explosion on November 18th caused a temporary hole in Earth's ionosphere. The rocket exploded twice during its ascent in Texas, sending shockwaves through the upper atmosphere, disrupting the ionosphere. The explosion neutralized nearby charged particles, creating a hole up to 1,200 miles wide, revealed geophysical research letters. This marked the first non-chemical ionospheric hole caused by a man-made explosion. Fortunately, the hole closed within 30 to 40 minutes. Researchers were surprised by the disturbance's size, prompting questions about the atmospheric processes involved. Findings offer valuable insights into how the ionosphere responds to both natural and man-made disruptions.
Yeah, take a look at this video. The Texas Department of Transportation is warning drivers to steer clear of State Highway 4 that's heading out to Boca Chica Beach and SpaceX, because look at this. TxDOT announced that the roadways were flooded due to recent weather conditions. Drivers want to monitor the road conditions over on State Highway 4 and have any questions to call 1-800-452-9292. Brian?
Evangelist accused of human trafficking and sex assault, including in Hawaii, is in custody in the Philippines. The arrest of Apollo Quiboloy follows a 2-week standoff between law enforcement and hundreds of his followers. Hawaii News Now has been covering this story for years, and Daryl Huff brings us the latest. Daryl.
The arrest of megachurch leader Apollo Quiboloy, who came close to being apprehended in Hawaii years ago, ended up being one of the most dramatic law enforcement dramas in the Philippines. Thousands of Philippine police and military were met with a human blockade of Quiboloy's supporters when they came to arrest him 2 weeks ago at the huge Kingdom of Jesus Christ compound in Davao. Quiboloy and several aides finally surrendered early yesterday.
So to his credit, he was still displaying a modicum of leadership to his followers. Again, I will stress, it was a very, involved police action.
Quiboloy was a close friend of prior President Duterte and was critical of Marcos. Hawaii attorney Mike Green is on the church's American legal team.
He's been mentoring and being a pastor for over 3 million people, almost 200 cities, countries around the world. I've seen the work he's done. I've seen the Children's Joy Foundation. This is a horrible payback for what I believe is a political vendetta.
The church brought young girls as religious workers to Hawaii and Los Angeles to raise funds by selling Krispy Kreme donuts and other baked goods. In Hawaii, one young lady fled in 2015, claiming she'd been trafficked, beaten, and forced to have sex with Quiboloy along with other young women and girls. She said church leaders retaliated by accusing her of sex assault of a minor. Honolulu prosecutors pursued the case for 4 years before finally dropping it in 2019.
Everything that she said just sounded like a cult, that she escaped. They'd shaved her head. They put her in a concentration, or they called it a re-education camp.
In 2018, Hawaii News Now was there when Quiboloy and his private jet were seized at the airport. On board was the head of his Hawaii operations, Felina Salinas, who was charged with trying to smuggle $300,000 in cash to the Philippines for Quiboloy. The charge was reduced, and Quiboloy went home.
I talked to the agents on my case, and they were extremely upset when they found out that Quillaboy's plane had been detained here and that he wasn't taken into custody.
The FBI raided church buildings in Los Angeles and indicted Quibeloy in 2021, along with Hawaii's Felina Salinas, who the FBI said played a key role in trafficking, controlling, and organizing sex partners for the pastor. The case has been waiting for Quibeloy's arrest, but it's not clear if the Philippines or the U.S. FBI will prosecute first. Salinas and other indicted church members are out on bail. Quibeloy has repeatedly denied the charges, even having me and another reporter charged with criminal libel in the Philippines. Daryl Huff, Hawaii News Now.
An estimated 600,000 people in East Timor turned out in the baking heat for a mass with the visiting Pope Francis on Tuesday. That's just under half the country's population, making it proportionally one of the largest ever turnouts for Mass during a papal visit. A sea of yellow and white umbrellas, mirroring the Vatican flag colors, filled the Tasitolu Esplanade. The only other pope who has visited the country, John Paul II, celebrated Mass in 1989 at the same site amid the country's fight for independence from Indonesia. After a brutal 24-year occupation that ended with formal independence in 2002, East Timor now has a median age of 20, according to official estimates. Francis made note of the young crowd during Mass.
This reality is revealed to be beautiful in East Timor because there are so many children here. You are a young country in which life is beating rapidly and bustling in every corner. And the presence of each youth and so many children is a gift. It is a gift, an immense gift.
Earlier in the day, Francis visited a school for children with disabilities in the capital city of Dili. There he blessed the children and thanked the school for its work. Sharing life with people who are in greater need is a program for every Christian, he said. The Pope's stop in East Timor is part of an ambitious 12-day, 4-country Asia-Pacific tour. The former Portuguese colony is a half-island nation of 1.3 million people north of Australia. It's also only one of 2 predominantly Catholic countries in Asia. His visit came during the country's 25th anniversary of the vote for independence, and at times resembled something more like an enormous party. Francis next travels to Singapore before returning to Rome on the 13th of September.
A perilous road to safety. But for residents of Haiti's capital, Port-au-Prince, it is their only option. Violent gangs have taken over, controlling an estimated 80% of the city, including the major roadways in and out. The only escape is this rocky path through the mountains. Port-au-Prince has been under a state of emergency since March, now expanded to include the entire Caribbean nation. The United Nations estimates over 500,000 people have been displaced from the violence, and almost half the population of 11 million is going hungry. The country's newly formed government is working to restore order. But as gangs extend their reach, Haitians have had enough.
Nous sommes ici pour combattre l'insécurité. Ça fait insécurité, nous ne voulons nous-mêmes en national, nous demander pour ça changer.
Visiting the country during this turmoil, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken met with Haiti's interim Prime Minister, Gary Coney, and announced an additional $45 million of humanitarian aid. Blinken also called for a UN-backed security mission here to be extended, a deployment of several hundred Kenyan police officers meant to leave the country next month.
The mission itself needs to be renewed, and that's what we're working on right now. But we also want to make sure that we have something that is reliable, that's sustainable, and we'll look at every option to do that. So a peacekeeping operation would be one such option. I think there are others.
For those displaced by the violence, the security mission and the visit from Blinken are seen as ineffective. Rather than wait for order to be restored, residents of Port-au-Prince have turned to the mountains, far from the gangs, police, and geopolitical players. The path may be perilous, and there is no guarantee of safety on the other side. But for these Haitians desperate for peace, it's the only way forward. James Linden, Harrell Hughes for Taiwan Plus.
We've been tracking the numbers. About a month ago, we spoke to the mayor of Springfield, Rob Rue. He told us then that the city has an official population of around 60,000. Rue says there could be as many as 20,000 immigrants who have moved to Springfield on top of that number. And as a result, he says it's put a strain on city services.
We need to hire 10 to 15 more on each of the departments. So we're not budgeted for that. Our school systems are strained. Our healthcare system strained.
When I spoke with A.G. Yost Monday, he reiterated that migrants coming to the community are not the problem. However, he says the influx over a short period of time has become an issue.
The federal government has immunity in most situations from being sued. There's some exceptions to that, including if they're acting pursuant to a statute or an administrative rule. So we're looking right now very specifically at the federal processes that were involved in allowing these people to come to our country and to settle here on a semi-long-term basis.
Yost says he's working on a solution, and when I asked exactly what that solution was.
So I've got a couple of ideas, and I'm not ready to talk about them because things tend to get out ahead of reality, but stay tuned.
In June, the Biden administration provided immigrants documentation for temporary legal status, which is typically about 2 years, and changed the federal immigration policy, allowing each person to bring 6 additional people with them. Monday, Lieutenant Governor John Husted took to social media blasting the Biden-Harris administration's immigration policy, saying while there could be other reasons, temporary employment agencies are connecting immigrants to jobs, creating a pipeline into Springfield.
All right, here's what we're seeing out there as we look at our infrared satellite picture. Tropical storm Francine, here located in the far western Gulf of Mexico, has leveled off with its intensity. And it's in a light wind shear warm water environment. So why is it leveled off? Well, see, if you can see it here, the center is being disrupted a little by some drier air that's worked into the circulation. But with the inner core forming of this tropical storm, it's likely going to become a hurricane at some point. That could be tonight or early tomorrow morning. You definitely want to check in for updates on this one because it's in our backyard. It's in the Gulf of Mexico, and the track includes Louisiana, which will bring it close enough to us for the potential of some rain, some heavier rain, some minor to moderate coastal flooding, and some rough surf. So here's some of the dry air that it's going to encounter later. I mean, deep layer dry air that it'll encounter later in the forecast once it gets close to the coast, and that's why the intensity goes from up to a Category 2 with some rapid intensification in the short term, and then back down close to a Category 1 as it's actually working its way inland over Louisiana. The timing's the same. We think it's going to come ashore sometime on Wednesday afternoon or evening. Based on that, the most intense impacts here are going to be Wednesday and Wednesday night, and rainfall rainfall could be pretty impressive with this. We're thinking up to about 4 inches of rain possible in some spots, with 3-inch amounts from Pensacola over to Mobile, and a little bit further inland, lower amounts, but still the possibility of some significant rain. The beach forecast looks terrible. Light showers and a medium rip current risk tomorrow, a high rip current risk on Wednesday and Thursday. And here's where we stand right now. Most of the storms are offshore. We do expect the rain to weaken over the coastal waters tonight. It will start to get closer to us tomorrow with the initial beginnings of some of that rain. And the Futurecast shows that tomorrow evening, just some of the outer influences interacting with the stationary front likely bringing some rain. We'll probably have a hurricane tomorrow evening in the Gulf. Then we see it moving towards Louisiana. And this is as of Wednesday morning, close to coming ashore. With this model, we could see some isolated tornadoes. We're in the northeast quadrant with these outer rain bands, and we could see some direct bands moving through if the center ends up coming over towards the North Shore and working up into central Mississippi. So we're going to see some impacts, no doubt about it, with Tropical Storm Francine. We expect rain and wind, and it looks like Wednesday is going to be the most active time period for us.
पाकिस्तान के मज़ाफ़ाती इलाकों में एक बार फिर ज़लज़ले के झटके, लोगों में खौफ व हिरास फैल गया। सवात व गर्द नवाह में ज़लज़ले के झटके महसूस किए गए। ज़लज़ले के बाइस मकामी लोगों और सयाहों में खौफ की लहर दौड़ गई। ज़लज़ला पैमा मरकज़ के मुताबिक ज़लज़ले की शिद्दत 4.5 रिकॉर्ड की गई है। ज़लज़ले की गहराई 188 किलोमीटर थी, जबकि उसका मरकज़ हिंदुकुश रीजन अफगानिस्तान था। ज़लज़ले के झटकों के बाद वहां मौजूद लोग कलमा तैयबा का विर्द करते हुए घरों से बाहर निकल आए। याद रहे, चंद रोज कबल भी इस्लामाबाद समेत मुल्क के कई शहरों में ज़लज़ले के झटके महसूस किए गए थे, जिसकी रेक्टर स्केल पर शिद्दत 5.4 रिकॉर्ड की गई थी।
सब्सक्राइब करें और बेल दबाएं ताकि कोई खबर रह न जाए।